Lafferty.
I'm hitting go live. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the BAMF podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, and this is our obligatory musical intro. It always surprises me how loud that is. Tonight, we are doing a draw and chat with RPG artist Jacob Blackmon. How you doing, Jacob?
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about the DC movie Black Adam with noted RPG luminary Ross Watson and Jacob. And those two guys have seen the movie, and I haven't, so I'm just here because I'm pretty and I can say funny things occasionally. So
I've seen it twice.
Twice. You got me covered then. So, am I correct saying both you guys love this movie?
Loved is a strong word. I was entertained by the film. There are some things. There are things I would want to change about it, but otherwise, I thought it was fine for what it was.
I'll say that I basically loved it. In my rating system, it's like a 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was like damn near flawless. So.
Cool. What'd you like the best about it?
The thing I liked the most about it was that, while there's a lot of characters and a lot of stuff happens, but it is definitely Black Adam's story. And The Rock is not playing The Rock. He's playing an actual character. And that, his charisma brought me along for the ride of that character's arc. Plus Justice Society. They were freaking great. And
yeah, the Justice Society was pretty nice in this. I liked the representation they had. It's an odd character mix, but the idea of doing two experienced heroes, and they're very experienced heroes, and two newbie heroes was a nice choice for the film.
Also, Cyclone is a really deep cut, Jacob.
Yeah.
She's Maxine Hunkel, which means she's part of the Hunkel clan, which was way back in the 40s, I think. The original Red Tornado with a pot on her head and the Tornado twins like on her apron strings. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, Ma Hunkel! I haven't heard of her in forever.
Well, Maxine was actually in the JSA during Jeff Johns' run. I want to say 15, 20 years ago. She was.
I'm sure. I just I stopped reading comics.
Yeah.
A while back, but it was just nice to be like, I know that name. I know who that is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Jacob, let's get controversial. What would you change about Black Adam if you could change something?
Okay. Well, and here's where Ross is probably going to start hating me. Black Adam's a villain. He is not an anti-hero. He shouldn't be an anti-hero. He is a villain. He is someone who uses his powers for whatever he wants, when he wants, because no one can stop him. And that is pretty much how his character has been up until probably the last 5 to 8 years of recent comic, and since then they've been trying to reshape him into a anti-hero. Where he actually cares about the country he's from and rules it and all that sort of thing.
I will give you your point that the character is originally, the Shazam villain and, was kind of a bully. But his rehab started a little earlier than you thought. Jeff Johns' run on JSA, I want to say, like I said, 15, 20 years ago, they had Black Adam as a member of the team who was being rehabbed. And in New 52, which came out, 20 years
ago. Which should never be referenced.
But it's canon. It came out. We can't deny it. Like Return of the Jedi. Might not like it, but there it is.
I like Return of the Jedi.
Lots of people do. I just don't. He was one of the main characters in that, and he was playing that same kind of tragic anti-hero. So I understand your point. I'm going to say there's over a decade of people trying to rehabilitate him as a tortured anti-hero, like we see in this movie, presumably. So,
well, I don't disagree with Jacob per se, but I will point out that there have been multiple interpretations of characters over the years that started off as villains and have turned into some really fascinating, nuanced characters. Dr. Doom comes to mind, clearly a villain, but definitely in his head, the hero of his story.
Oh, absolutely.
Magneto has at times been both villain and leader of the X-Men. There are characters who have walked both lines. Do you remember a little guy, you may have heard of him, named Hawkeye, got his start as a villain?
Hawkeye was not a villain. I've read the original issue where Hawkeye shows up. He was always intending to be a hero. He was set up by Black Widow to look like a villain. Right. So everyone assumed he was a villain. He was not a villain. He was a hero from the outset, just set up.
I think you guys are mispronouncing his name, though. I believe it's Hawkeye.
Anyway, I think the point stands is that there's room for multiple interpretations of characters in comics.
Well, I mean, yes. Magneto is probably the best option. When I started reading comics with Jim Starlin's Secret Wars in the 80s, I mean, it's referenced there that he sunk a U.S. submarine with all hands aboard. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's kind of where he came from. But gradually they did something very similar to Black Adam. You know, they gave him this, mutant, a sympathetic mutant terrorist,
You understood why he was doing what he was doing, as opposed to him just being a flat-out villain.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, in fact, the best villains.
I don't know.
As opposed to just, I want to rule the world because I'm evil.
Jacob, have you never heard of the Joker or the Terminator or the Xenomorphs from Alien? Because those are all not sympathetic at all, and yet some of the greatest villains of all time. You don't have to be sympathetic. I
don't consider aliens or Terminators to be villains. I consider them to be antagonists because they don't have motivation of their own other than destruction of whatever boss says. Boss in this case being Skynet and or the Queen.
I feel Ripley and Sarah Connor would probably disagree with you, but fair enough.
But I see your point. And I get your point, and yeah, I do love a good villain. And no, Joker is I never agree with Joker as being a good villain. Joker is a psychopath, and he is a character who should have been, who other than the fact he is an IP of DC, and so they want to continue to tell stories. He is someone who should have been phantom zoned long ago.
All right. Well, I think you have some very specific ideas on what constitutes a villain, and that's fine. Like, that's absolutely great for discussions exactly like this. But I thought specifically in the film, I thought Black Adam was done well as an anti-hero.
Oh, absolutely. His motivation was clear, and he was portrayed excellent. I agree with you in that The Rock felt like he was acting in this as opposed to just playing The Rock. He actually felt like he had some gravitas and tone for his character. It was really good.
And Black Adam wasn't neutered in this film. Like, he was straight up killing people a lot. In fact, there's some of the funniest comedic moments actually come from the whole dichotomy between him and Hawkman over killing. It's that one scene, he didn't make it. The whole theater erupted both times I saw it at that moment.
And can we just say, holy cow, they made Hawkman awesome. They made Hawkman who he should have been.
Best Hawkman ever on screen.
There are so many
Brian
times
Blessed from Flash Gordon? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
That was Prince Vulcan. Totally
Okay.
different.
Yeah, that was Prince Vulcan, and honestly, he was a great Prince Vulcan. But in terms of Hawkman, this was a great Hawkman.
Oh, Aldous Hodge.
They gave him all his powers that he's supposed to have. He was strong. He was smart. He was good with tech. He was a great fighter. He had his arsenal. He was competent. It is so rare when you see a long-standing character treated so well.
Yeah, this was the Thanagarian version of Hawkman, and again, probably the best version of that character I've ever seen. Aldous Hodge is a guy with a lot of charisma, and he did a fantastic job in the role.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Henry Cavill cameo?
It was good.
Yeah, it's all right.
I like it. It felt like something Superman would do, as opposed to kissing the girl in the middle of hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths.
I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Christopher McLaughlin, who used to work for Green Ronin back in the day, and now he runs Ghost Show Press. And that was his big beef was he looks at Man of Steel and he sees all those thousands of people who died in Metropolis while Zod and Kal-El were fighting in the city, and he's hard for him to look at Henry Cavill as Superman because of that. So,
well, I'm excited to think that under James Gunn's leadership, we might see a better Superman? a celebration of Superman rather than a deconstruction.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for that too. I like a lot of James Gunn's work. So fingers crossed that the future holds good things. So that should be good.
I want to take a moment though to call out Pierce Brosnan.
How is he as Dr. Fate?
Oh my God, he can play. In my opinion, he can play Dr. Fate anytime. Mm-hmm. Anytime.
Well, once now.
Spoilers! Goddamn, spoilers, Jacob. Spoilers.
Listen,
okay.
The helm
we're here to discuss a movie. If the spoiler tag was already there,
the helm is eternal. So
the helm is eternal.
He can always show up as some voice from the helm's memories, or like it's possible to have him back. It's just
yeah.
As
Kent Nelson's Dr. Fate, he was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Cool. So what's next for the DCU? You guys know? I mean, obviously James Gunn is driving the train now, and we're all happy about that. But
I believe the next film on the list is Shazam: Power of the Gods.
Aquaman 2.
Then Flash.
I don't know about that Flash movie, man. I wouldn't.
No one knows about that Flash movie.
I believe it when I see it. Because if anybody knows about problematic stuff, James Gunn definitely does. Given he was fired from Guardians 3 over some things. So maybe he's going to talk to Ezra Miller, or maybe they're going to bring in somebody else. I don't know, but
yeah, I feel weird taking my kid to see a movie with an actor I would not be comfortable leaving him alone with. If Chris Evans was like, "Hey, I'll babysit if you and the wife want to have a night out," I'd be like, "Yes, Captain America, we're down with that." if Ezra Miller's like, "Hey, I'll watch your kid," I'm like, "Nah, man, we're good. That's gonna stay home, watch The Office on Netflix. It's all right, man. You do you." So I don't know, just my 2 cents. So what is the best system for playing Black Adam? If you want to have Black Adam as a gritty anti-hero or a villain, is Mutants and Masterminds the way to go? Prowlers and Paragons.
There are plenty of good systems that will handle Black Adam, and I have a very good Black Adam build that I've done and posted on my
Superpower Legends.
On my no, I don't actually have a Superpowered Legends homage to him because, like I said, I'm trying to keep with Marvel. But I posted when the Black Adam movie came out. I have a blog, and I posted a Black Adam build there, which I think is very suitable for what he's supposed to be.
Personally, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me put down a link while Ross talks. For
me, I would say Prowlers and Paragons would be my game of choice for characters these days in superhero stuff. But I could. You give me an hour, I could probably build a great Champions character for him.
Just an hour? You don't need a couple hours for that?
I've been playing Champions a long time.
Okay, well, there you go. That'd be like a weekend project for me. Like, honey, I can put up some shelves and polish the deck, or I can roll up a Champions character.
So this is a Mutants and Masterminds build.
This is a Mutants Masterminds build, yes.
You get the link. All right, let me pull that up because I've been Googling in the other window trying to find your blog unsuccessfully. Hey, you're not doing NaNoWriMo this year, are you, Russ?
I don't normally do NaNoWriMo, and I'm definitely not doing it this year. I'd love to get into it, but just not this year.
Okay, I was meeting at the local Barnes & Noble over in Thornton. They were having a Friday meetup with people. We all show up and say hi, then we all write for an hour or two. So
that's neat.
Cool. Yeah, it was all right. So how did you change your Black Adam build from the official one for DC Adventures?
Well, he uses the scale that that I usually use for superpowered legends. So you're not going to see him with like the 18 to 20 strength that I think he has in the official Green Ronin build.
Mm-hmm.
He's only got a 12 strength, but that's still a 100-ton lift. And if he wants to lift more, he can simply utilize his Aton's power as an alternate effect to give himself more strength, or turn it into super strength, so he can lift much more than that.
Any character created in the Silver Age is a little crazy, and especially if you look at the whole history of the character or related characters and look at what they can do, it can get pretty insane, because comics, as Movie Bob likes to say, are weird. So just as a quick benchmark, the original Captain Marvel, Billy Batson Shazam, once punched a black hole into existence, and Black Adam is stronger than him.
No, it's true. And lest we forget Superboy Prime punching time back during the days of New 52.
He did, in fact. Yes.
Or that was final. Maybe that was before that in Final Crisis. DC's. I know we keep saying that the Silver Age was weird, but DC's kind of been weird for a really long time, and it didn't actually stop. So.
Yeah, but in the Silver Age, you have things like Comet the Super Horse.
Which Jacob and I referenced in our recent release, Small Sidekicks.
That's right.
But bring the magic of super pets to your M&M game.
The creepiest super pet of all time.
So who are we drawing here, Jacob?
I am drawing the Wizard Shazam.
The Wizard.
The one who provided the power of the power word to Billy and, like Adam.
And Freddie and Mary and various others.
Yeah, he pretty much sits in the Tower of Eternity and sits on a throne, goes, "Oh, I'm too old to go fight evil despite how powerful I am, so I'm going to get children to do my bidding."
Sort of a proto. God, what's the wizard from Harry Potter?
Dumbledore,
sort of a proto Dumbledore.
And don't forget, Batman uses child soldiers too.
This is true. The last animated movie I saw that had Wizard Shazam in it, he was voiced by actor James Garner, Jim Rockford.
Really?
Yeah, that was kind of fun. It was an origin story. You know how they like to. Seems like DC animated. You'll have good, cool movie, and then hey, here's an origin story of a character you've been reading for 50 years. Have fun with that. So, but no, it was fun.
Honestly, when you talk about animation, Warner Brothers Animation has probably got the best track record of any in the industry when it comes to superheroes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
While their movies have been very, very hit or miss, their animation department has usually been spot on. And especially when it comes to some of the animated films they do, and certainly Young Justice.
Well, I mean, Batman the Animated Series, to start back in 1992, gives us the definitive version of Batman.
Yes, but I was trying to do more current stuff that today's modern audience might have actually heard of or watched.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to talk about their animated movies, Mask of the Phantasm is probably the best Batman movie, period. So
it's hard to argue against it.
I will agree to that.
Jacob's just trying to appeal to that strong Gen Z and millennial demographic we have here at the BAM podcast, and I appreciate that. We need to get those TikTok numbers up, and I'm here for it. I should have a TikTok, shouldn't I? All the cool kids are.
It's true. The Batman series started out in '92, so it is.
It's long in the tooth.
Old, yeah.
But I mean, they're still doing good stuff, and those guys are still working for DC Animated. I'm just trying to remember.
They're coming out with another comic season, like season 3 of the Batman Adventures Continue, in comics soon.
I would love it if they would just do some more movies in that style. Although they did recently, the last 5 years, they had they continued Batman from the '60s in a couple movies. That was fun.
Yeah. I
Back
watched those.
when Adam West was still alive.
To get back to Black Adam for just a
Yeah.
second, I would say that one of the things I walked away from this movie thinking was I need a Justice Society film now.
Oh yeah,
I want to see more Black Adam, but I also want to see a Justice Society film.
I think that's a great idea. Justice Society for years was the only DC book I was following, just because it was such a well-written team book and there was so much heart to it, especially with Stargirl and all the legacy characters. So yeah, I would absolutely love to see that, and let's hope it's in the future. So,
well, it depends on how Black Adam does, I guess. I don't know what the take home was on it, but
it's pulled in a lot of money.
Well, good.
It does not have a Chinese release though, so that's going to hurt the global gross. But let's take a look at Box Office Mojo. Worldwide is 325 million, and that's respectable numbers. I mean, it's not Avengers numbers, but that's really good.
That's still really good.
Yeah. I wonder what the budget was on that. Budget was about 200 million, so they have made money.
120 million is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. Well, you know, the second Avengers movie was considered a failure because it didn't break like 3 billion. Because that's how things work at Marvel these days. But wouldn't it be awesome if Marvel was making the kind of animated films that DC makes? That would I would love to see a good. Now, the Mighty Avengers was fantastic, just those 2 seasons. I would love to see, you know, a fun and well done, you know, Avengers series or, you know, movie or, you know, really anything like that.
Are you talking about Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I love that show.
Oh, that show was amazing.
That was perhaps the best Avengers animated series there has ever been.
It's on par with the JLA, JLU.
And they got rid of it so they could make the worst Avengers series that has ever been.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
There have been some really bad Avengers cartoons.
I said it.
That's a bold statement.
Just like I will say, they got rid of Spectacular Spider-Man, which was the best Spider-Man animated series that's ever been, so they could create Ultimate Spider-Man, which was the worst animated Spider-Man that's ever been.
Again, very bold statements there.
There's so much bad Spider-Man out
there. First of all, I admire your confidence, and second of all, I do generally agree. So
there have been I like the 60s Spider-Man better than Ultimate Spider-Man. I like the 80s Spider-Man better than Ultimate Spider-Man.
What
the
about
90s
the
Spider-Man
Company?
certainly.
What about the Electric Company 70s Spider-Man?
The Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, all of those were better than Ultimate Spider-Man.
What was the one where Peter Parker was back in high school and Coulson was the principal of his high school?
That was Ultimate Spider-Man.
You didn't like that one? Okay.
Yeah.
It was kind of a cool concept, though. It's a shame it didn't.
Except it wasn't a Spider-Man series. The only Spider-Man villain he fought in his first season was Venom. All of the other villains that showed up were like Avengers villains or Hulk villains.
So to drag this back to Black Adam.
Yeah, let's go to Black Adam.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm going to say I think it was impressive that this is Black Adam's first cinematic debut. You know, it's a very good debut for the character. It's a really good introduction to the character. I'm really, you know, aside from, you know, quibbles about his villainhood, I think it was a very good way for people to go, oh, that's Black Adam. Okay, interesting.
And again, I really like how the DC films have been portraying a lot of their superhero battles, especially in terms of characters like Black Adam who have super speed. It's terrifying when you watch Black Adam in action, just how fast and how strong he is, how much he just doesn't care about your puny bullets.
Yeah,
and there were a couple of slow motion scenes in this, perhaps a few too many slow motion scenes, but they did well to showcase how fast and powerful he is.
Which actually is one of the reasons why I enjoy this interpretation of Hawkman too, because ordinarily Hawkman in the comics is not really someone you would put up against Black Adam.
Yeah.
But Aldous Hodge's version, while not able to defeat Black Adam, can certainly slow him down for a while in a fight. He can put up a pretty good accounting for himself, which is not usual, as I said, for Hawkman. But it was impressive. It made me like, wow, that's hadn't thought of Hawkman that way before, but I guess Nth Metal can be pretty great.
Yeah, I remember. Oh boy, it was a World's Finest about 10 years ago where they had I want to say Hawkman and Wildcat fighting Superman and Batman, and it was the same kind of deal. He had some Nth Metal devices where he was able to hold his own against the Kryptonian. It was kind of cool to see. But as a Hawkman fan, I'm happy whenever he looks cool, because there've been so many takes on him that you're kind of like, oh man, really? So it's always good to see him done well.
Yeah.
So Jacob, for the uninitiated, can you tell us what you're working with here?
I am utilizing Adobe Photoshop. I have a subscription plan for that, and I am utilizing a ancient Syntec the C15 Wacom tablet in order to draw on the screen like the way I am. It is an ancient tablet, but it's the tablet I have, and it has served me well all these years.
Your talent blows me away, sir. You're doing a great job. Just sitting here watching you is very it's fascinating, really.
Thank you.
To see this all come together.
Yeah, I always like watching Jacob work. It's cool. So, do you have any kind of wish list where we can point our well-heeled fans towards the new tablet that you're got your eye on for Christmas this year?
I honestly have not looked at any new tablets recently, so
Okay.
I bet, considering Christmas is coming up, I should probably do that.
Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa for our friends who celebrate.
Indeed.
And I am reminded that Four Seasons Landscaping Day just passed last week for those of you who observe. So
that's right.
In honor of recent events, I am cosplaying as John Fetterman. So
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, these are the jokes I have today. Forgive me. It's been a rough couple of weeks. So
That's no problem.
This is coming together nicely. I like this, Jacob.
Okay. Yeah. Normally he's in just kind of monotone wizard-colored robes, but I'm going for putting him in like a Captain Marvel-esque colors to kind of give him, that so we can kind of see where Captain Marvel gets his style from.
It would be nice to see him come off the bench sometime, right? Like during a big event, like fighting the Anti-Monitor or something.
Yeah,
Dark Side.
Shazam is usually one of those characters who's just, I am ancient and old, and in the background I move things behind the plot. There was one time where you saw him basically in a council of other old people and ancient powerful people all together, and it was in like Kingdom Come, where he was like with Ganthet, one of the Guardians of the universe, and Phantom Stranger and a couple other people, just all sitting around talking. We're super powerful cosmic beings, but we can't interfere. that sort of thing.
Sort of the Uber Illuminati.
Exactly.
Which makes it sound like Ganthet's going to go out and give us, turn on his rideshare app as soon as he leaves, which would be kind of fun.
I've got this idea for a Green Lantern character that I want to make one of these days.
Is this the Conan?
Yeah. I was like, you take a world of sword and sorcery, sandals and swords, and some Green Lantern sends his ring down there, and he's trying to explain to him like the duties of a Green Lantern, and the guy's like, enough talk, and just like forms a giant green axe and goes out into the galaxy to fight evil.
I think that's a great idea. Well, do you guys think we'll ever get a good Green Lantern movie out of the DCEU?
I'm confident we someday shall.
Okay.
Someday, maybe. The animated series, by the way, is highly underrated.
Oh, yes. I seriously recommend the animated series, and it fits nicely into. It can easily fit into that DC animated universe, like Batman, Superman, Justice League, and it certainly fits into Young Justice, considering stuff that happened in the recent season.
Yeah, I would. I'd like to see that. Not that I'm not a fan of the Ryan Reynolds, classic version from the old days.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think in the comics, Black Adam ends up marrying Almighty Isis.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And they forms his own, Marvel family.
Well, she was in the movie.
Oh, was she?
Sort of.
Yes,
like
Sarah Shahi's character was Andreas Tomaz, or
right.
the Eastern Asian the Middle East version of her character. It's normally like Andrea Thomas when she was introduced.
Yeah,
the necklace she has in the film is the same as Almighty Isis's necklace.
Yeah.
Now the thing about Almighty Isis in the show was that she was ridiculously powerful, but
it was a 70s show.
And thus she was forbidden from engaging in any form of conflict. So Almighty Isis would basically show up and there'd be a problem, and she's like, I'm going to solve this problem by, teleporting everyone away to a different location, or, making it so it never happened, or something like that. Just imagine someone with like, incredible magical powers and stuff who just does not fight ever. And that's essentially Almighty Isis.
I remember that was on the, they called it the Power Hour, her and the old Shazam from the 70s.
That's right.
Where Shazam was a guy with great hair driving around with his grandpa in an RV in the Southwest.
That's right.
I don't remember what they did. It seemed to involve a lot of stuff in the desert. But yeah.
Easier to get effect shots out there.
That's true. Yeah, New 52. Sorry to go back to it, Jacob. But yeah, they had Black Adam and Isis, and they had some kind of a kid Black Adam, and Sobek, the crocodile god, as sort of the reverse Marvel family.
Mm-hmm.
In a plot line in New 52. And it ended tragically and very sadly. And they unfortunately... Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't want to talk about it? It was fun to talk about.
Well, I'd rather talk about Black Adam.
Well, I mean, to be fair, his Marvel family was inferior to the actual Marvel family, because the actual Marvel family has a cartoon rabbit as one of their members, the Thunder Bunny.
Let's not forget about Takatani.
Takatani.
Mr. Takatani, of course, but Thunder Bunny is the true heir of Shazam's power.
Indeed. So, in regards to the film, they also introduce another classic Shazam villain, who is the true villain of this film, and that is Sabak.
Who?
He is basically another Shazam.
Okay.
Only instead of getting powers from gods, Sabak gets their powers from demons.
Okay.
And it's like Satan, Asmodeus, Belial, Beelzebub, and stuff like that. And here's my one quarrel with this character. They look awesome. They have great powers. Awesome. They're a perfectly fine villain, with one exception. Shouldn't this character be based on the 7 deadly sins demons that are supposed to be the bad guys of Shazam, instead of an entirely new character? But I realize they did that in the original Shazam movie, and they don't want to do that again, so I get it.
And my only flaw, in my opinion, of that film is the fact that Sabak is basically a CGI blob that he fights in the third act. but it's at least a well done CGI blob, and not like a weightless feeling facsimile, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal, perhaps, but it certainly could have been worse.
Yes. But yeah, it's a decent character. It gets more, you know, Captain Marvel lore into the cinematic universe. So, you know, we get a little more of that. That's nice.
I want to see some Mr. Mind show up.
Well, we got to see that in the
I know,
at the end
but
of the original Shazam film.
Just a cameo.
Yeah, I was kind of liking where that was, in the concept of the fact that he teams up with Dr. Sivana, who is traditionally a mastermind who like makes robots and stuff. But I could see the potential there in that you get Mr. Mind teaming up with Dr. Sivana, and Mr. Mind is of the mystical world, but he's also can teach Sivana basically the science of magic. So Sivana basically, instead of making robots, I would say he makes golems utilizing the science of magic, and that would have been a great way to represent how his character works in the comics with this new mythology.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, looks like you're about done here, Jacob, and this is really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done, sir.
Just getting to the shading scene here, which is usually the last little bit of it.
Cool. Well, have we written this subject into the ground?
I can't think of anything hugely terrifying that I want to continue to discuss. I like the characters. The costuming is excellent. You know.
Action scenes were really well done. I think it's important to point that out. And you get a brief introduction of Intergang, which traditionally is a Superman villain.
But I thought the way they did them here was really neat.
Yeah, basically they're PMC in the DC and EU, which is actually makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. And it makes them whereas they're usually just represented as the mob in Superman. It made them an international threat, and who honestly the Justice League should kind of be dealing with. But and the fact that when the Justice Society comes in, and
they get called out pretty hard.
It's like we're the Justice Society. We're here to protect you. These people have been here taking apart our country for the last 25 years. Where have you been all this time?
Yeah,
get the hell out.
Suddenly we have a protector, and now you want to chase him away. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
It was good. And actually, there's the get up and cheer moment for me is when the people of Kahndaq actually rise up against the demons of Sabak and have their little moment where they get to fight back, and it's pretty cool.
The only thing I would have wanted to change about that scene is the kid's voice. When he calls upon the people to rise up, he's doing so in about the same volume I'm currently talking.
Yeah.
Rise up, people of Kahndaq. Rise up and fight our enemies. He's not shouting like he should or saying it heroically or dramatically. He's just kind of saying it.
But okay, so first of all, yes, definitely could have been a better take, better, more energy, etc. But honestly, that kid I thought did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah. I love his superhero fandom, which is very much what should be happening in a superhero world. His kids should be all about, hey, okay, you're a hero. What's your powers? Do you have a secret identity? That he was totally perfect for that type of character and a kid in a superhero universe.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, that's a very Jeff Johns kind of beat. I can remember when he was writing Green Lantern, and it was Sinestro and Hal Jordan are fighting over Star City, which is starting to just starting to come back. There's only a handful of citizens there because DC Comics Star City got destroyed during one of the many crises, and
The death of Superman.
That was the return of Superman.
The death and return of Superman was when that happened. Marvel blew it up.
Yeah.
With Warworld.
Now this sounds cheesy as hell, and it is because it's comics. But reading the book, he actually he pulls it off, and he makes it work, which is maybe a testament to Jeff Johns' ability as a writer. Everybody who's living in Star City, and there's not many of them, but they all go and grab. First off, they all happen to have green like plastic wrap in their cupboards. And while Green Lantern and Sinestro are duking it out, they all go put this green plastic wrap over their windows. So as Hal Jordan is flying by fighting the bad guy, he can look and see they're all supporting him by having green windows. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but just the way he writes it, he kind of pulls off the moment. Sort of similar to what he describes, where the kid summons the citizens of Kahndaq to fight off the demons.
Mike, I don't know how to tell you this, but comics are weird.
Comics are weird. Comics are very weird. Even before you get to Grant Morrison, God bless him. You don't want to piss off Grant Morrison. He's a wizard. So I think we covered.
Speaking of wizards, I'd actually like to see Black Adam interact with Jimon Hansu in the current age. I'd like to see him.
Except he died.
It's the wizards, man. They can always, you can find a way to get their essence and have them show up for a cameo. It's possible. It's magic.
Okay.
It's kind of like Bruce Willis. You can always get him to come back.
I thought that was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, him too. Yeah, I'm just thinking that Bruce Willis shows up a lot more movies these days. He's not always acting, but he's there. He's definitely a presence on screen. So, my wife makes me watch a lot of bad sci-fi and horror movies, and I've seen quite a few lately where, hey, there's Bruce Willis in the first 20 minutes of the movie, looking kind of surly. Looks like he was there to pick up his check and then get the hell out. But
that does happen.
It's his aphasia. Apparently, that was the problem there.
Well, yeah.
Wow, Jacob, that looks amazing.
That does look amazing.
What a great picture.
Yeah, that's pretty much done.
Ladies and gentlemen, the talented artistic stylings of Jacob Blackmon.
Yeah, well done, sir.
Thank you very much.
Than's for showing us how you work.
Now the all-important part, saving.
Yeah, that is always important. It occurs to me this picture could hit a lot of different ways depending on what background you put in there. Because obviously we're kind of picturing him in the Rock of Eternity, but if you say his background was Disney World or Toys R Us,
or lightning from my hands, lightning from my hands,
lightning hands,
or in a Target on Black Friday, or in front of the animatronic band at Chuck E. Cheese. So, all right. Well, hey, folks, thanks for checking out the BAMF podcast. It has been a pleasure entertaining you. Check out Jacob's blog at jacobblackman.blogspot.com, which has been rolling across the bottom of our screen. But if you're listening to us on iTunes, you can't see that. So check it out. Jacob's a good guy. Jacob, you have a Patreon. Why don't you tell our nice folks about that?
I do. I have a Patreon where you can support me financially. It is, of course, patreon.com/Jacob Blackmon, all one word, BLACKMON.
And last but not least, Ross also has a Patreon, patreon.com/the Ross Watson, except no substitute.
That's right. And I do not do art, but I do talk about various geeky things and write-ups of monsters and backgrounds and things. So for your RPG campaign. So check it out.
Sweet. All right, folks. Thanks again to Jacob and Ross, and we will catch you next time on the BAMF podcast.